Bloody hell. Yeah. Oh boy. Took a lot of energy to come out here today. A lot of energy. Note to self, if you're going to buy a gazebo, make sure it's actually covering the items you want to keep dry. So, plan of action today, because it's a bit minging outside, first order operations is to get a jumper, because it's well cold. Second order operations is to get the bases sized for both of these boxes and fitted, and as you remember in the last episode, the groove was a little bit too thin to accept the plywood panel that I'm planning to put in there, so I'm going to need to address that. I also need to put another layer of finish on the inside faces to prevent any glue squeeze out from sticking, and I want to get them glued together so I can take them out the clamps on a different, sunnier day. Oh, water in my shoe. And a stinging nettle on the elbow. Good start. Have it. Well, the moisture's definitely made them tighter. Well, there you go, guys. If you need tighter fitting joints, just leave them in the rain for a bit. So this is an example of one of the many reasons why it's good to put the tails on the end components as opposed to the long sides like this, because I can't get a hammer in there right now to hit that inside face to knock the joint out, whereas if it was that way, I've got plenty of room above in order to knock it out. So those of you who are wondering about that consideration, because I do get the odd question about it, should I put the tails on the front or the sides? This is why it's sometimes good to put it on the sides if you plan to leave it out in the rain. I have no idea how I'm going to get this apart. This is not the way to disassemble boxes. Do not learn from this. So I'm going to quickly buzz over it with this abrasive mesh stuff, being careful to remove the staples before I do so. This is the equivalent of about 1,500 grit and is usually what I use between oil finishes just to denib that surface to make it nice and smooth, especially because the moisture in the air's started to raise the grain a bit. So just a little scrub like that is all it needs, and that's still got quite a nice rough oaky texture, but those little nibby bits have been knocked off. So with microcrystalline wax, or wax in general, I like to put it on relatively heavy, not too much because I don't want to waste the wax that I've purchased, but I put it on quite thick to start with and let that harden for a little bit and then buff it off afterwards. And you tend to get a really nice sheen from it that way, and I think it gives a better finish personally. So before buffing it off, just leave it around for maybe 10-15 minutes or so and it will look lovely. And while we're waiting for this wax to harden, I've got a bone to pick with 25.4% of you. See, if I go to the previous video in the series where we were making the second box, if I scroll down, I can see that 25.4 of you are not subscribed. So please fix that. Scroll down on this video, press the subscribe button, and then turn around to the camera behind you and give yourself a cheesy thumbs up. Seriously, little actions like that really make a big difference with the channel because it gets recommended to more people, it gets more people involved in the content that I'm sharing with you guys in order to improve your woodworking and take it to the next level. And in addition to that, another thing you can do is if you scroll down, you can see that on the last video, we only got 1,000 likes, but there's 15,000 of you watching the video. So let's set a target for this video to get 3,000 likes. 3,000, yeah? So instead of sitting there picking your nose, scroll down, press that like button, and then continue watching this video. But for those of you who have subscribed and are liking the videos, I love you guys, thank you. All right, let's get buffing. Wait a minute. Oh, that's sunshine, thank Lord. So these can now go in the shed, and then we'll start sizing this, which I need those parts I've just put in the shed, or at least one of each of the components. So we've got one side of the angle box, one side of the oak box, one side of the, well, one of the other sides of one of those boxes, one of the other sides of the other box. And we're just going to go for rough sizing for now, I reckon. So we need to cut this to about whatever that distance is, plus the depth of the groove on this side, which, because it's angled, is not a lot. So I'll maybe size this one to 242. 100mm to the inside shoulders, plus the depth of this either side, which is 4mm. So 4mm plus there, 4mm on that side is 108 is the inside shoulders, plus the depth of this, which is 2.5. Just double check that, 95, so it's going to be 100. Let's write that here. So 100 wide, and then this one is going to be 205 to the internal shoulders, plus the depth of this, which is about 2.5mm. So 205 plus 2.5 plus 2.5 is 210. So let's do that first one. It's going to be 100mm out from here, and then 210. Actually, there's the base of one of the boxes. Now I am going to cut this slightly oversized and make sure that all these edges are square by using my shooting board, just in case this edge that I've referenced off isn't quite right, but it should be. And then the other one was 242 times 108. 242, 108. This should stop any breakout from happening into that main component I want to keep, because I started getting a little bit there. Look at that. You can see that crisp line where the knife cut, but none of that breakout went beyond it. So that's a great reason to knife plywood before cutting it, especially with the jigsaw. So I can see here that some of the tails have failed to bottom out in the sockets, meaning that the bottom panel is still a little bit too wide. So I need to reduce that width in order to close this up. So I've got the first base fitted, and I've got a little bit of a predicament now because this particular design requires me to cut a curved rebate out of these edge panels in order to give the lid a ridge to sit on, and it would be far easier for me to do this before assembling the box. While this component's loose, I can get it up in the vise, chisel out that rebate by hand, and then assemble it afterwards. Problem at the moment is I don't have a lid to trace that curve around, and I don't really want to rely on following that pencil line that I traced around the lampshade with, if you get what I mean. It'll be accurate, but it won't be as accurate as we need it to be. So in this particular box, I'm going to glue it together first, make the lid, get the curve on the edge of the lid, trace around it, and then attempt to cut that rebate out while the box is assembled. It's going to involve some jiggery with getting the chisel beveled down in order to get the bottom of the rebate flat, but I think it will be doable. If it's too much of a struggle, on the next box we'll do it before the box is glued together and hopefully save ourselves a lot of effort. And just so you know, I've also waxed the bottom panel of the box as well to prevent any glue from sticking to that and making it difficult to chisel out of the corners. That's been done on both this inside face and also on the bottom as well. Right, final time disassembling this. So there we go, there's the first one glued up. As you can see, we got a fair old bit of squeeze out, which is fairly normal for the amount of glue that I tend to put on things. I usually completely overdo it. I had to adjust the clamps a little bit in order to square out the box. And if you want to know how to do that, then have a look at the projects on my free online woodworking school. There'll be links in the description below. Tell you what, it is proper raining now. This is minging, but 10 out of 10 for this gazebo. This is brilliant. If you want a gazebo to enjoy over summer, I'm going to put a link to this one in the description below. It was pretty much the only one on Amazon that got a 5-star review, and I am thoroughly impressed. It's very nice. Alright, second box together. As predicted, sizing the bottom panel was quite difficult. Didn't quite fit in that L section as much as I'd liked. And so this is where felting the bottom of the box comes into play, and I'll show you how to do that later in the series, because trying to size and also fit a floppy material such as felt in the bottom of a box like that is quite difficult. So yeah, there's a certain technique I use in order to do that. Anyway, we're going to get the base of this one waxed and then glued together, much like we did with the other one. Right, we're calling it for this episode. This weather has really taken a turn for the worse, but we got the boxes glued together, we got the inside faces finished, and in the next episode, on a sunnier day, we are going to get cleaning them up and start fitting the lids. As always, guys, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to press the like button. Remember, we're going for 3,000 likes on this one, so please go down there, take a second to do it, and I will be very appreciative of it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.